everyone, and welcome back to Real Talk with Dane. So today I got a very special guest here with me. From the beginning, I knew she had to be on this podcast of mine. My mother, Jennifer Petersen. Thank you, mommy, for doing this with me.
You're welcome, Dane.
I know this has been a it's been a while, or something that we spoke about, or I spoke about before. And I said, you know what, let's just do it. Even if I'm not ready or not prepared, I'm gonna do it. And yeah, I'm glad we're here. Um, one of the things, I'm gonna jump straight into it. So one of the things I've always wanted people to hear you speak about is parenting. Okay? So you've got this very unique way of parenting, and I want to talk about it because I think it's going to help so much people. It's helped me angle or see things from different perspectives. So I want to talk about just talk us through your journey of parenting.
Dane, it is, I think it helps a lot the way you've been raised. Helps you how you're gonna parent your own children.
Yeah.
Also, I did read a lot. I did a lot of reading and inform myself.
Okay.
You know,
Before becoming a parent.
before becoming a parent, but while parenting as well, because every day is different challenges
Yeah, I can imagine.
with your children.
Mm.
So I did read up a lot, yes, on parenting, but my perspective of it was always to
Look, I know you are always like growing up. I've always seen you with a book, and you've always encouraged me. You know, read, even though I didn't want to read or I wasn't interested in it. But I can understand the concept of feeding yourself constantly with whatever you're going through. So I might, what is different for me because I didn't read, but then again, my way of learning was then watching videos, maybe, or something. I think it is a bit of a more lazier form of learning. But it was at the end of the day, the message, came across and so forth. So I think, yeah, I think maybe because of generations, things change
of course, yes,
in terms of learning.
yes. It does. Like when I looked at you and look at Leanne, your different personalities,
Yeah.
how different you both were, and watching you guys playing, interact with other children, being in crowds or
Yes.
wherever you've been,
Yes.
always watching and always aware. I think it's a lot to do, parenting is a lot to do being aware. A lot of us parents, what we does is that we want to undermine our children. We say, no, don't, and no, don't be this and don't be that, or because of society, of how people read us, or how people look at us. So for me, it was all about seeing strength in each child.
Yeah.
What is your strength and what do you need to work on? What was your weaknesses?
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, I think I start to parent from that perspective, seeing your strength was you were always talkative. I always knew that you will either be in sales, selling something, being talking to people and interacting to people.
Yeah.
Where I knew that your sister is totally different. She wants to be on her own, in her own space
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
doing things by herself,
By yourself,
you
yeah.
know. So I knew those strengths. So you're from watching you, I saw that you have strong leadership qualities from the beginning, from a very
Yeah,
young age.
you've always said that, yeah.
That I saw that, but afterwards, I also see how it can become a bully or over
Yes,
over being
confident maybe.
overconfident and over acting
Yes,
yes,
yes, yes.
out on other people. So from that perspective, if you see it from that perspective, not to down talk that child,
Yes.
not
Just
to try
tweak
to
it.
yes, try to strengthen what is good
Yeah.
and try to tweak
What
what
is
needs to be
bad.
work on, because it's
Whatever.
not bad, because
Yes.
society see it as bad.
It's
I
not
don't think
bad,
it's
yeah.
bad. I just think that we as parents
Need to adjust.
wants to see must see actually where that child is going,
Yes.
wants to see where that child is going and that child's strengths, and so you just lead them
Yeah.
into that,
Yeah.
you know, subtly, you know,
Yes.
and say how different you can do that, or how that can change and shift.
Yeah. I have a question
so-
on based on what you were saying. So, like you saying, I hear what you're saying. You want to tweak certain personalities. You look at their strength, you look at their weakness, and so forth, right? But like for I don't know, 5-year-old, 3-year-old, you can't necessarily say. So how do you how do you
Still-
tweak it or like?
You still, I mean, like with 3, 4, 5 year old, it's children. It's a lot to do with sharing,
Okay, so you start
interacting,
basic, yes, yes, yes.
and all of that. Because, like they said, it is till up to 7 that you actual fact teach and grow that child
Yes,
for who
yes,
they're
yes.
going to become.
Yes,
So
yes.
those years are very, very important.
That's
I
a
don't think
subconscious mind, yeah.
we know how important it is to teach that child to just not to break somebody and not to
Yes.
break that child. Say you naughty, you this, you that, you know.
Mm.
But to see those as strengths,
Strengths, yeah.
you know,
Just say,
and
don't.
to yes, and to build them into that. Don't you think it's nice to share and to swap over and teach those things
Those
into
kind
the
of
children?
things, yeah.
You know, those things are important, and as the sooner you start, the better it is
Yeah.
as they become teenagers and young people.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
I wanna say you. I've heard people say this. I disagree, but I've never been there before. So, teenage, you think it's harder to instill in a teenager compared to like a child?
Teenagers is like monsters. So yes, much harder.
Yeah,
They
because
are growing into their own person.
yes, I was just gonna say this
Yeah.
personality is much stronger. They get influence from
Yes,
school,
but they
friends,
also
or
find
whatever.
themselves. They're finding who they are as a person.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they're finding who they are as a person. So it's important to know that, to be aware of it. I think it's a lot to do with awareness. For me, it's everything to do with awareness.
Yeah, is
you know,
important.
and a lot of things do worry you as a parent. You worry when you see certain things and see certain behaviors. It absolutely stress you out.
What? Give an example, like of what worries.
Like maybe the child looks maybe more aggressive, or the child is the way the child interacts. They can't interact in you know, in social circles and that. So it is important that you teach that child from very young age. That's the most important thing. Don't think that you'll teach them when they're teenagers. Teenagers, you don't get much in. You know, you still have time, but you get much more done between 1 and 7.
At a younger age.
Yeah,
at
from a young age
Yes.
up to 7.
Yes.
So
I think what is also important is your example that you set. because they look
Absolutely.
at you. Eh? That's one thing I've picked up now, like with Remy, when I do certain things, like maybe with the pointing. Like he also point. Now I'm like, he's actually watching me or whatever.
Yes.
At such a young age, you become aware of your own doings. I didn't even realize until he did it.
That's
Because I
right.
even thought, where did he get this from? And I realized, I was doing this, and that's why you're doing that to me or whatever.
Yes.
So I think that is also very important. Setting the example.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the most strongest effect that you have on your child.
You think so?
You know, that is the strongest effect that you have on your child. By
just setting that example.
setting examples. I know for parents it's never easy.
Yeah,
it isn't
I was
easy
just gonna say
because
now.
you want to do certain things and
Yes.
you just tell that child to listen to what you are
Yes.
parent and you listen.
Yes,
It
yes,
absolutely doesn't work like that. If you smoke or drink or whatever you do, just know that that child is also gonna, if it's
Try
whatever it is, you know, it's not of judgment, but whatever you are, that child is. That's just how it is. So
I don't think, like, based on what you are, the child will automatically be. I think at a certain point the child will think for himself and try. Like, take you for an example, like our relationship. So you want really want to be out and experiment and explore, whereas with me, I wanted to do that. Or it's a bit of a different thing, and I think that's where the personality comes in.
yes,
Getting to know yourself.
Yes.
and so forth. So
it's more about, I think, with what the child takes on you. Like if you a parent that swears, that child automatically picks up, you know, and that child will also pick up those words, even though they will pick it up with other kids as well,
yes.
and their surroundings,
Yes, I was
of course,
environment,
but most of the time it will be. And it's also with like the way you think, your child will think alike, you know, there will be a lot of similar,
reasoning. The way you reason, maybe.
the way you reason, the way you see things.
Mhm.
A lot of the times that child will also see that. It's not always, but most of the times.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But the obvious things is like the drinking or smoking or
Those
if
kind of
you,
habits.
habits that you pick, that you have, that child will definitely pick it up.
Pick it up as well.
But where it comes to introvert and extrovert, it's probably to do with their personalities, different personalities. You know, the way
what they've experienced
we
also,
do.
maybe.
Yes, and also your experiences. But
Yeah.
you will see there is a lot of similar things between you and your child. So you will pick it up. You will see it, even though they have their own mind, their own personality,
Yes.
their own way of thinking and
Yes.
doing things. But I mean, me and you are so different. But yet we think alike.
Yes. I was just gonna say now.
We think alike.
Yes.
You know, the way we think, the way we see things, the way we will do things, a lot of things we still are very similar.
Yes.
Though I'm an introvert and you
not
yeah,
as introvert.
like I said, you were a butterfly,
A social butterfly.
a social butterfly.
Yeah.
And that, so yeah, no, there is that differences.
Do you think that if so with our relationship, you've always spoke to me, you've always come to me and you said, look, this is how we do things, this and that and whatever. But do you think for those parents who don't have that relationship with their child, do you think they will still head in that direction of the thinking pattern would be the same? Or do you think it might be different? The child will maybe pick it up somewhere else if the parent isn't as involved, maybe.
Look, when I look at my own relationship with my parents, with my mom and dad, you know, my mother did not really. My mom was very social, and she did interact, but she did not interact the way that I wanted her to interact.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was very different, or my understanding of her was very different. So, but yet I still form my own because it was so important to me. For me, it was always about understanding everything. I wanted to understand. I wanted to see the purpose. I want to have a vision. There must be a vision for my family. I want to see the purpose, and I want to see where my children is going.
Is those
I
things you
always
picked up
knew
yourself?
that was things that I always know. But my mom's parenting was also like that.
Okay.
You know, she
Okay.
was also very strong. She was somebody that that pushed us in different ways. You know, the way we needed to be treated, or that kind of stuff. You know, what things we should set boundaries, and she was very boundaries
Yeah. That sounds very
orientated.
familiar because
Yes.
you taught that to me.
Yeah, so boundaries set, and certain things was very important to her. Don't interfere with other people's business. Don't skin it. Don't gossip. Don't you know those kind of stuff was very she had very strong stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that is strong
Passes.
things that has passed on. I think it's always about your parents and your upbringing, and the same kind of way you will also raise your children.
Yeah.
Though we sometimes don't even want to recognize it, or don't even want to see that in ourselves.
Yeah.
As you grow older, you actual fact see a lot of
similarities coming from
Yeah.
your parents' side and so forth.
yes.
Yeah, no, that is true. I didn't see it like you. It's the first time you're mentioning like with your mother saying those things. But like I said, it sounded so familiar because I know those are the things you taught me. And also, as you obviously grow up, we say like I've always said. So I've never really. I'm not someone who blames or whatever. So I would never blame my parents for anything bad in my life. I would just take the good from it, right? But my point is that when we become parents, so when you became a parent, there were certain things you didn't want to do that your mother did. And when I became a parent, there were certain things I wanted to do different compared to my parents. So we make those adjustments based off from our parents' maybe mistakes, if I can put it that way, or something like that. And I think that is also important. I think times have changed, so we need to adjust accordingly also to the time change, or how our generation is raised maybe, or something like that. Or yeah, I don't know, you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if that's right, or did you pick that up perhaps like from your mother to when you were a parent?
You know, I think I only started to notice when I was like in my 40s, you know.
Yeah, and you were of age already.
Yeah, good age already, where I picked up, you know, that actual fact we've got so much of your parents in your own raising of children, you know, and also your strengths, your strengths, and like you said, it's either good or bad, so you will make the changes, you know. But that's how generations will grow and get better and better and better. Because of past mistakes, and past failures and those kind of things. You understand? So yeah, I think making the changes is always good. You know, it's always good if it is for the good,
for the better, of course,
of our generations.
Yes.
And that's so, yeah, nothing wrong with that. But I think awareness of our kids, not to blame them, not to you know, that this one is like this and the other, and comparisons
that is very important.
that
Comparison.
we compare each other, but also know that each one is perfect in their own way, you know, and as you encourage that, you grow that child so much quicker, and you see the better of the child. You will see the fruit of it, you know, in good or bad, whichever way you're gonna teach that child or interact with that child. it's gonna help by the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, you've always told me that your job is just to teach you for X amount, and then I will let you go and let you fly. And
That's right.
like for me and for Leanne it was different. Oh no, not different. It was that way, but compared to people outside, it wasn't necessarily like that. Especially in the community, in our community and so forth. Parents weren't
Tend.
necessary, yeah, or tend to hold on to their child and so forth, and don't understand their purpose or their role as a parent. Like you said, now everything was purpose with you,
Yes.
and you knew I'm only gonna be here for X amount, and by that age he needs to go. You know, you've always explained, and I got to a point. I mean, you moved out of your parents' house young. You moved out at about 21, right? The same with Leanne. Leanne was also 21, 22, 23 maybe or so that when she moved out. And when I got to a certain age, it was also like weighing on me, like, oh, I need to make a move now. I need to get out because this is what I've been taught, and it's just like at the back of your mind all the time, whatever. But I mean, things automatically just work out. Also, one of your teachings that you instilled in me, or things will just automatically work out for you. So it's, what do you think other parents, like, I'm sure you're speaking to parents and so, what do you think their purpose is for parenting? Do you think it's just for comfort? Or do they have the end goal of letting your child go at the end of the day?
You know, I think it's important, and I think you guys said it when you got married. It's important to have a plan. It's important to know the vision of where you want to take things.
Yeah.
If you don't have the vision, you're just all over the place.
Yeah.
And you have no purpose of what is going to be the end result. For me, independence, not just the independence, but I see so many children losing their parents, and then they are so distraught, they cannot help themselves, they don't know what to do. And so
That's
that for
sad.
me, I think is also a driven thing always.
See, that's a good
So
motivator.
that
Yeah.
so that you know that if you're not there, that child
Yes.
will be able to cope on their own,
Yes.
you know, and
Yes,
be
yes.
independent on their own,
Yes.
and doesn't have the need of other people. We always have needs of others,
Yes,
but
of course.
not the need to, you know, to carry them all the way,
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
That's driven things for me.
That's
always
yeah.
in the back of my mind, that this is what I will teach them. This is where I'm gonna take them. They need to be independent. That is it. You're gonna be independent. You're gonna have your own family, your own house, your own kids, your own family. And that is because that was important to me, of course, obviously. It was very important to me as a youngster, you know, to have my own independence, you know, stand on my own 2 feet, and, you know, and grow in that. With other parents, I think a lot of our parents is in fear, you know. We don't have the vision, number one, because there's no vision. That's why we perish, you know. The families doesn't make it, or struggling in it. But fear is the biggest thing. You know, fear of how you're gonna survive, fear of who's gonna look after you. You're gonna be alone. You're gonna be lonely. All those kind of fears
that comes with it.
especially in our communities and, you know, our environments. I think it's a lot to do with fear, you know, and so that's the driven thing for them. That's why they make the choices that they do.
Yeah, but I mean,
about.
And it makes sense that it is with fear. But I mean, when you said you used it as a motivator, what if something had to happen to you? Then how are we gonna handle ourselves and whatever? And that was, I think that is a good motivator to those parents as maybe doing it for comfort, to comfort the child and whatever. But you need to sit back and think, what if anything happened to me today? how's my child gonna take care of him or herself? And yeah, that is a good good motivator, because I feel like also our personality comes into play when it's with helping the child, or clinginess, or guilt. I've heard you speak about guilt. So maybe things weren't perfect in your marriage, maybe between you and your partner, and you have that guilt. So now you give the child everything, or you give the child more, and you don't teach that child independence or so forth. So that's an interesting way of looking at it. I don't think, if I think about it now, I can't speak for letting go, because I mean I'm not at that phase yet. But I don't think, the way I feel now, I don't have the fear of letting my child go, because at the end of the day, I'm his parent. I'm there for a period of time to teach and to equip for life, and letting go. Isn't that like fear for letting go though? Like, isn't it scary for you as a parent? Like, don't you think like, did I install the proper things in this child growing up, or is he gonna know what to do in certain situations? Is he gonna make the right choices, or is he gonna come running back to me again, or like, how's that? Like, do you have that fear as a parent, or what?
Um, like I said, and I always will turn back to, when you start off, you must have the vision. If you do not have the vision,
Vision is
you
important,
are going to have all those fears.
yeah.
You understand? Because you will see other things as bigger. So then you become clingy, you become, you scared, you insecure, and all of that. It
Yeah.
is all about you understanding your
The
vision
vision and the
and
purpose.
understanding the purpose of this child.
Yeah.
And I think it's very unfair for
I
parents
think so too, yeah.
to hold that child back, or to put that blame on the child to take care of you as a parent. I do think that children must take care of parents when they're old,
When they can't do things for
when
themselves.
they cannot do things anymore for themselves. So, then that child step in again. But then the child is parenting that parent,
Yeah.
and look after that parent. But it is all about having a plan, understanding the purpose, why that child is in your care. It's not for you. That child is just not yours, And also my mom came, at least for me, I always felt that there was a lot of freedom with my mother.
Yes.
Because she was somebody that loved her own space and her own world, and she loves to travel and meet up with people, and that's so she gave us lots of freedom, which I definitely enjoyed.
Yes.
And I think from that perspective, I also raised you guys
Yes,
like
with a lot
that
of freedom,
because of, and I do not say freedom. I gave you freedom with responsibility.
Yeah.
It is freedom with responsibility,
Yes,
not just freedom. You teach, you equip, and you give freedom. You teach, equip, freedom.
It sounds like
teach,
it's a
equip,
gradual.
freedom.
It's a gradual thing, yeah. So by the time they leave the house, you already started that from a young age of giving them that freedom. So when they're out, you more at ease.
Yes.
With
because then you teach and you equip, and you install all the necessity things in that child. You see what their weaknesses was.
Yes.
You see where they are in their lives, how they deal with certain situations. And every child is not easy. I mean, every child isn't easy, but you have to equip that thing in that child. You are the parent, and you need to see it from that perspective. Otherwise, you will have to baby that child for the rest of your life.
I think
and
also,
that's what I always say to you.
Yeah.
People must now baby that child because they didn't equip the child. So they have to take responsibility for that.
And also, it just slipped my mind now. but I hear what you're saying. Equipping the child, and it's a gradual thing. So you do it from a certain age. So by the time the child does leave, you don't have that fear.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is what I wanted to say. A lot of parents, especially in the newer generation, they feel that they're their child's friend. And I think there's a line between the friendship and the parent, actually, because with a friendship, it's there's a bit of more freedom, I think, in what you can say. I would say something to a friend that I won't say to my parents, so maybe it's too explicit or too rude or whatever, so I still have that respect for my parents, so I don't know if you picked it up, like in conversations that you've had, that parents want to be the child's friend instead of the parent.
Yeah, I hear about it. I haven't experienced it much. I think it's important, especially when a child becomes a teenager.
Yeah.
I think it becomes, because it becomes so intense. Sometimes it becomes very intense. They don't listen. They want to do their own thing. They want their own space. They have an entitlement, a way of entitlement. With a lot of teenagers, and so it's easier for that parent to become their child's friend, because the parent doesn't want to be, the child must be angry with them, or push them away, or say that I hate you, I don't like you, all those kind of things. So that parent become more convenient for that child. Like, I'm your friend, but that is not going to help at the end of the time, because that child is never going to be equipped then, to know there's a no and there's a yes, or that's allowed, and that there's boundaries, that cannot overstep. Rudeness is never something that you can overstep. Put those boundaries down, those kind of things. So I think then it becomes that the parent is your friend, because of the fear of rejection. It's a lot to do with fear of rejection. And if you have been rejected, it's easy to fall into those kind of things.
It's definitely, it's a broad topic, the whole parenting thing, because there's so much to learn.
I know.
I think it's a lot, and it's, at the end of the day, like, I've always seen it as, you human, my parents are human. Like, there were certain times maybe when you gave me advice on certain things, but like, you know what, it's not necessarily that you're right, because you're also human. So maybe I won't take this or whatever. So but I mean, you obviously experienced more. You've lived life, might have been from a different generation or so, but I mean, you've lived life. There were certain principles that stuck through and so forth. So it's a broad topic. It's interesting, and I think it's an ongoing thing. We can learn. My experience might not be your experience, because of our children's personalities, maybe, or whatever. Do you think? I want to ask. Do you think there's a difference in terms of roles with your children and your grandchildren?
Oh yes.
I knew there's gonna be a yes. Because with me, like what I've picked up now with your first grandson, you used to say a lot of things. Oh no, I won't allow this, I want to do this, and with you guys I did it like this. But now with Remy, you have this softer spot for him. Or maybe I don't know. Is it how's it different? Why? Like,
the responsibility is not on you. You don't have to set all the boundaries.
Yes.
It's not your space, not your place.
Yes.
So you back down on that.
Yeah.
So you don't carry the weight of having to take this child to the next step, and to the next step, and to the next step. So that's why it makes it easy, to just to be. Now
Yeah.
it's just to be,
Yes.
somebody that you can love and cherish and
Ah,
enjoy and
I
have
hear
fun
you.
with.
I hear
It's
you.
not the responsibility
Responsibility.
that the weight is not on you anymore.
And that makes it easier
And
and
that
lighter.
makes it easy, light, and
Ah,
enjoyable.
I
Yeah, no,
suppose.
there's a big difference.
Yeah, I could tell there was a big difference because like even like before Remy, there was a lot of like things you used to say, no, this is what you allowed and whatever, and but now you've got this very soft, like maybe with even if it's just like no with your hand, hit on the hand or whatever. I know, I mean, like I caught on my nonsense or I was playful at least, and I got my hiding. I remember my hidings. So I feel like Remy is gonna get it maybe a bit easier by you, but us with Nikita and us as parents, we need to still play the parent role, and so the roles change
Roles change.
and so forth. Ah, that's
Yeah,
interesting, but
which
it's
is actually very nice.
Yeah.
Not to carry that weight anymore of parenting. Not that parenting it's very hard. It is hard, and it is because it's a responsibility. So I've always taken parenting seriously.
yeah.
And now I can just enjoy. I enjoy the fruit of it. It's like that. You
Yes.
get that enjoyment
Yes, yes.
out of it.
Have you ever felt? I feel this. Well, I've felt it for the past say 3-4 years maybe. I felt it stronger. Have you ever felt like just that burning urge to make your parents proud?
What do you mean?
Just to make them proud, like with your life or your life choices, or just make them proud.
My parents.
Yeah.
I was a very disciplined child. And even in my grown up, I always said, Dane, I'm too serious. Don't say do this or do that. I was always very serious, took my responsibilities too seriously, I always say. And so it was always, I've never really disappointed my parents because I was too responsible for too many things.
Okay.
So it never, I've never thought in that
Okay. You
that
never
way.
felt that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
not
with
really.
I
Not
think
that I can think of.
yeah, but the way you saying it now, it's like just that you were obedient and so forth, right? And you did the right thing that they taught you. But for me, the reason why I got that urge, it's not necessarily that I'm doing the right thing,
Wrong.
but or the right thing or the wrong thing. Yeah, it's more about are you fulfilling your life's purpose? Are you passion and purpose driven? And I want to be this person one day. I want to be big. I want to be out there and so forth. And I need to do that to make my parents proud. So nothing else, or maybe the other things is like small, like when like before Nikita and I got married and so forth, and I spoke to you that I want to get married and so forth. You said this is the right step. I'm proud of you and so forth. I don't think I don't think it hit me like as if I'm gonna, when I'm there or when I have that status, I feel like I need to get that status in order to make my parents proud compared to then just doing the normal, okay, start your own family or what, thing. So I don't know, that was a thing for me. I thought maybe every child thinks like that or whatever, but not necessarily. Yeah, maybe it's because of our talks. Growing up, you spoke to me a lot about certain things, about purpose driven and passion driven, and like when I was involved with the church, got getting out of your comfort zone, growing and things like that. So maybe that's why I've
I mean,
developed
you've
that mindset.
always been somebody that's out there, and as long as it's for the right reasons,
Yeah.
as long as you know that whatever you take on, it's for the right reason and it's fulfilling for you.
Yeah,
For
needs to
me,
be
it's all
fulfilling.
about what makes you happy.
Yes.
What makes you happy, what makes me happy.
Yes.
And that's how I live my life. Whatever makes me happy. People will say it's selfish, that kind of thing, but for me, It is about self-love.
Yes.
Actually loving yourself
Yes.
enough, you
To
know,
make yourself happy.
to make yourself happy.
Yes.
You know, and to know what's important to you.
Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
is what makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah,
Mm.
for me that's always drive me.
Yes.
Um,
Like fulfilling part.
it's the fulfilling part. Yeah,
Mm.
be fulfilled, be happy
Yes.
in who you are, what you are. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what you are or who you are. You know, some people need bigger things to make them happy, where others are with the simplicity of life, you know, that makes them happy. As long as it makes you happy, and as long as you grow into it. It's all, for me, it's all about growing into who you are and who you become.
Yeah, and
you know,
your life's purpose then at the end of the day, you know.
and your life purpose, yes. That's big. I think that's big, because then you're really living a fulfilled life,
Yes.
you know, and a
That's
happy
what's
life.
important. Yeah.
That's all that's important.
That's important, and it doesn't mean that if you're living in a fulfilled life, you're not making mistakes, maybe, or you're not falling, maybe, or things like that, you know. Because like I feel like I'm fulfilled with what I'm doing, and I'm still discovering myself. But I mean, there's still mess ups along the way. I still make mistakes. Everything isn't perfect. There's certain things there, and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So,
like what I always say, it's all about the experience.
Yeah, the experiences teaches.
The experience is teaches, yes. The experience, it's all about the experience, you know, that you appreciate every experience. Because out of your experience, you grow.
Yeah,
out of your experience, your lesson will come, yes. You will choose, this works for me or this doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, then you make your choices. And that's why your experience is so important.
Yes.
You know, every experience that you have is an important experience.
True.
Because every experience teach you
something.
know,
Yeah. It's not just bad or good thing. There's a lesson.
It's a lesson. It's about the lesson. It's about the growth in it.
Yes.
Like that's what it is
like,
all about.
Like with an example now, a few weeks back with an accident.
Yeah.
I knew there was a reason why that happened. You know, I knew there was a lesson, and I sat back and I you know, sat back, thought about my life. I said, what is the lesson in this? Why did this actually happen? What is it teaching me? And at the end of the day, I took the teaching from it, and I said, you know what? This is why it happened. Absolutely. And I need to watch myself. That's
the best growth.
Yes.
I mean, if you can appreciate the accident, if you can appreciate a divorce, if you can appreciate, you know, job loss, you know, anything, you know, which sounds so hard, and some people can say, how can you ever appreciate anything like that?
Yeah, it's hard.
You know?
It is hard.
I just read now the other day about this king, and he had this helper that helps him. I don't know what you call him now. But anyway, the king went out in the field, and his helper was with him, and they were fighting a battle, battle with somebody else, and he lost from his toes in the battle. And this guy is saying, everything works out for good. And the king was so angry with this guy. How can you tell me that I'm losing from my toes, and you are telling me everything works out for good?
Yeah.
And he threw this guy in jail. And after two months or so, the king went out again on another battle. And they caught the king. The tribe caught this king, and they took him in, and they were singing and dancing and very happy because they got somebody to eat or whatever. And as they were dancing and singing, and they and all excited, and that he asked them why. You said, no, we found now something to eat. And as they undressed him, they saw, and took his shoes off, they saw that he don't have all his toes, and they said, no, we can't eat you. You're not perfect. You know, you're not perfect. And so they let him go.
Wow.
And
Look at
and
that.
then the as the king went back to his palace, he let this guy out of
Of
jail,
course, yeah.
and he said, "Oh, everything works for good, but I know
Mm.
everything works for good for me. But why did it what why did it work for you? Why were you
For
in
the
jail?
helper, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, why were you in jail? What worked for you for good?"
Yes.
He said, "King, if I had been with you, then they would have eaten me.
Yes.
So that's why I was in jail. You see,
Yes,
everything
yes,
works
yes,
for good."
That's a good story. That's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that.
Everything, every lesson, every experience,
Yes.
as if we can learn how to grow in every experience, it will be
So
to our
much.
benefit.
Yes.
And if we can be more appreciative, be thankful, grateful,
Yes.
we will see these things
Yes,
in our
yes,
lives. We
yes,
will
yes.
see the growth. We will
Look,
see how things can turn out.
yeah,
for
look,
us.
it's not going to be like easy and smooth sailing or whatever. Like losing his toes, I'm sure it was a hard thing. It was a painful thing, you
And to
know.
say it's
But
for the good.
yeah, and for someone to say that, I mean, yeah, you know. But I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it was for his good. Otherwise, they would have eaten him. And that's so. So sometimes we just need to look at the bigger picture then of things. Like I said, it's not easy. It wasn't easy to go through to the accident,
That's
to
right.
hurt your pocket maybe or whatever, or any other painful thing like a divorce maybe or whatever. But it works out for good. It's gonna teach. It's gonna be a lesson there, and that's gonna
Everything is about a
develop. That's
lesson.
gonna help you become who you're supposed to be, who you truly are, and so forth.
That's right.
You know.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a cool story.
It's all about growth. I mean,
Mm.
like I always say, it's about you never stop growing. You
Yeah.
never stop finding out who you are as a person.
Yes.
So that is what is important.
Yes,
To
yes,
grow, to mature, to develop, to find things in
it's really
yourself.
just a journey.
It's just a journey.
It's just a journey.
It's
Yeah.
just a journey, yes.
And
to
even
become the best you can.
yes,
can
yes,
be
yes, yes.
for the right reasons. Then you'll be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why healing. I think healing is so important. Because we act out on what we see, what happened to us. So that's how we see the whole world. In our childhood, in our experiences, and whatever. So that's how we see the world. But like you now said, you've been in that accident, how you've seen it, it makes such a big difference because you're not angry, you're not bitter. Every time you go to the car, you kick the car, and by the end of the day, the car doesn't even want to work for you,
Yes, yes,
because you're so angry and you're so bitter and resentful, and and you
Look,
carry all these things.
yeah, look, I think it's important to still feel the feeling. So like after look what happened and so forth, I was angry, I was mad. I told myself, look, being angry is not gonna solve anything or whatever. What happened, it happened. But I mean, it's important to still feel that anger. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad or upset at yourself that you did this or whatever. But give yourself that time. Say, look, I'm angry now, I'm gonna be mad now and whatever. And then afterwards you say, look, I'm gonna look into it now and reflect and see what the lesson is, take the lesson and run with it. So we don't make the same mistake again next time.
That's right. Yes.
And I mean, these things happen. It's going to happen. Lessons is going to, painful things is going to happen. So the lessons can be there so we can become the person we're supposed to be. And so forth. Yeah, and grow in it and so forth. And I think that is important. That is fulfilling. You feel it. I want to talk about that. I noted it down here about feeling it. You've always mentioned feeling it in my spirit, feeling it in my soul. Just like talk to me about that feeling of, because I remember growing up, I've always heard you say, I need to feel it. Because I say, Mommy, did you make the decision yet? Or wait, no, not yet. I haven't felt it yet. And look, at the time, maybe I didn't fully understand it, but I will explain after you explain, talk about that, how it has been for me about feeling certain things and so forth. So
Look, from a very young age, I think our household, when I grew up, it was very chaos. There was a lot of chaos, a lot of, you know, and I needed always peace and security
Yeah.
and that. So what I did from a very young age, I remember very well. I was about 6 years old,
Mm.
5, 6 years old,
Mm.
when I first experienced this. I've always turned into myself, like into my inner world,
Mm.
like I was always aware of my inner world,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
So I've always turned there for my comfort, for my peace,
Yes.
for everything.
Yes.
So I was very secure in it.
Mm.
It made me feel at peace. I always knew if I turn in my inner world, in my, in that world, then I cannot be harmed.
Mm.
Nobody can hurt me.
It's a safe
No,
place.
yeah, it's a safe space that
Mm.
that I always take, and it was trusted. I trust in it.
Yes.
There was a trust connected to it, because I
Yes.
know whatever I speak, whatever I say, whatever can't come back to me to hurt me like my outer world was.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes,
I
wow.
didn't trust my outer
Surroundings,
experiences. I didn't trust the people around me, outside
Mm.
of me, but the inside of me, it was comfortable,
Yeah.
trustworthy, and that. So I was always connected with my inner world. I don't know what other word to
Just with your soul,
to
with your spirit.
your
Yeah.
spirit,
Yeah.
your spirit inside of you.
Mm.
So I was always connected to that, and my whole journey from very young age, I've always been connected. So I've always trusted that, if I feel uneasy, I knew I shouldn't go there, I shouldn't do that,
Yes,
I
that
shouldn't
gut
say
feeling.
that, I
Mm.
shouldn't,
Mm.
intuition that they
Yes.
say
Yes.
it
Yes.
is,
Yes.
but I've always called it my inner world,
Yeah.
and or my spirit.
Yes. Yes.
And so I've always trusted that. That was always a guidance for me.
Yeah. Your decision making.
Decision making,
you're
and
dealing with
and I,
it.
and I think it helped me a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I made mistakes. I went through a divorce and all of that,
Mm.
but I've always been happy, and I've always been centered, always been both feet on the ground,
Yeah.
so that helped me making choices and decisions, and that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I hear you. Mine was a bit different. Um, so mine was more. I didn't necessarily um, f- go would help me. It didn't necessarily help me make decisions. Maybe where I can say, look, I need to decide now with this, and I would feel and say, okay, no, I know I did not need to go there. I need to go there. But mine was just for happiness, and does it fulfill me?
Mm.
So in whatever I do. So I know, like growing up, maybe I thought that materialistic things is gonna bring me, happiness. Like I was before I bought my first car. There's oh, I want the car, I want the car. And when I bought the car, it was like, no man, I want to beat the car. I want the car with this and this. From there, and afterwards, as you buy better and better and better, you just realize that, hey, this is not fulfilling me. I'm just gonna want more all the time and want better. And I think I was on a search for what truly fills me within my soul or spirit, or whatever you want to call it. And it's not necessarily materialistic things or whatever. It's speaking to people, motivating people, encouraging people, having those who sharing your story, or whatever. That is what fulfilled me. And I also recently discovered that is one of the reasons why I wanted to do music, because I had a story. That's why I wanted to do the poetry, because I had a story. That's why I'm doing the podcast, because I have a story, and I want to hear other people's stories and opinions and so forth. So everything is like purpose driven now. And you kind of have a direction. So I know, okay, I need to spend in that. We have extra money to spend on this. let's spend on that. What's gonna try purpose? I would do something for poetry maybe, or something for podcasting or whatever, to help me grow my channels or platforms also. So now it gives you a sense of direction also in terms of finance specifically, or just in general how people perceive you, because you'll be doing it and people will see you a certain way now, and you obviously want to be seen for who you truly are and not necessarily for someone else, or what you maybe someone else, in general. But that is what it did for me again, you know. And I think it didn't come at such a young age, but I mean, it eventually got to me afterwards. It was also a step-by-step thing, and a gradual, yes, a gradual thing. So I had to want to have the first car in order to realize this isn't fulfilling, and just to think that I want a better car, and just to get there and say, you know what, this is going to be a cycle now. I'm gonna keep on wanting more, to search for something much deeper, and so forth, So that's how it's journeyed with me, at least. And
that's awesome. That is really beautiful.
a story.
And like we said, it is about the experience. Your experience will take you, on your journey.
Yes, to the next level and so
to the next level. And but you must also be aware and realize, look, what am I looking for? What do fulfill me?
Yes.
What bring pleasure in my life?
Yes.
And fulfillment in my
Yes.
life. It's important to know these things.
Yeah, look, and it's not easy finding those things though.
It's not
I
easy.
think the core, what I've realized speaking to different people and so on, I think the core thing is having a quiet time with yourself.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm basing it now off your life, what you're saying. There was chaos and so forth, and you had a quiet time with yourself, and you automatically discovered that inner soul.
That's right.
The same with me. I need to have my quiet time to think, and life gets so busy sometimes. You got this going on and that going on and whatever, and you're so occupied with everything around you, you don't have that self time just to reflect on yourself, what you're feeling, what you're doing, where you're going as a person and so on. I think that is very important.
Absolutely.
To discover your purpose and what you actually want to do. Right?
Absolutely.
I hope that makes sense.
So proud of you.
Here the proud comes now. But I mean, yeah, that is at the end of the day, is as simple as a journey. It comes down to a journey.
It is, yes.
And yeah, we live, we learn lessons, experiences. It's a journey.
Yes. And like I said, quiet time to take that time out, to also to your own spirit, your own spirit, yes, or your private
Yourself.
space.
Yeah.
Your energy, so that you don't give your energy just to everybody. Everybody don't deserve your energy.
Yeah.
Or your
Value
time.
your energy.
Value your energy. Value who you are. Value your energy. Don't. I'm very specific who I allow in my life, who I allow in my space, how long I allow you in my life, and how long I allow you in my space.
And who you speak to, say certain things to.
Yes, and who I communicate with.
Yes.
I just do not just give my energy to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not open to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't allow everybody in my space and just to draw from me, because it is important and it is valuable.
It is valuable. Yeah.
It's valuable because you had your journey and you work on your journey and you know how much value there is to that. You understand? So I'm very decisive on my energy and who I allow into that space.
Yes.
Yeah, because that space is for you to grow and for pleasure, happiness, joy, and everybody doesn't bring that. There's a lot of chaos and a lot of attacks and people just gossiping and talking and pollute your energy.
Your space,
your energy and that, which I am very specific on how I use my energy.
I feel like that comes down to what it seems to me like that is like also like that your self space comes down to that meditating also.
Yeah.
Because there's different ways of like meditating, you know, and just being with yourself.
Yeah.
And just reflecting and feeling and just bringing awareness of what is happening, what is going on.
Right.
And so this is a form of meditation. And I mean, you hear it all over. I mean, I'm sure with your reading, you read it as well. Successful people practice that on a daily. And it just shows how important that is, that self time is, in order for you to get or have a fulfilling life, necessarily, you know. And sometimes we in order to be successful, we think of the lavish life, big house and a nice car and whatever. And that is, I'm sure we all want it. I mean, I definitely want it. I mean, why not, you know? But it's a bit deeper than that, and that doesn't necessarily always motivate you to do what you're doing, but that just that self-awareness and that purpose for you, because it fills you on the inside. That is what drives you and keeps you going, and the other things just come as an extra. A nice house and a nice car, and the freedom that money can buy just comes with, yeah, as an extra.
That's right, yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right.
No.
Yeah, no, it is that it is important, yes, to know what fulfills you, what is fulfilling in your life.
Yeah.
It's so important. I think that a lot of people live life just because of living, of being here on this planet,
do the regular
and
day-to-day,
and not realizing that everything that we do have an effect on your daily life.
Yes.
A lot of times we think we didn't make a decision, but not making a decision is a decision. Everything that we do is about where we're gonna go next, and you know, where we want to be next, you know, and just to be aware, and like with Dane always, I would say, Dane, I will give him advice or I will talk to him, but all I will say by the end of the day is be aware. Be aware of this, or be aware of whatever is happening in your life.
Yes.
Just be aware. I'm not telling you what to do, but be aware, you know. There's consequences of whatever you do, so be aware of that, you know. And that's how I always live my life. That's how I taught my kids to live their life, my friends, my family, people that surrounds me in my space. That's what they know. Be aware.
Be aware. Yeah, that's important. That's a big thing, yeah. It sounds familiar, yeah, I know. I want to ask one, like, so on the podcast, I want to ask everyone this question at the end of the podcast, right? So, most recent lesson for you, even if it's like on the previous one I spoke about, it wasn't necessarily my most recent, but I'm constantly reminded of it. So even something like that, you maybe want to share. For me, I will just go while you think about it. For me, one of the things I'm also constantly reminded about is it's a journey. I keep on saying it to myself, it's a journey. If I fall, okay, it's a journey. There's a reason for that fall or whatever. It's a journey. Keep going. I want to be somewhere at X amount of time, a certain amount of time, or a certain age. Once I get there, it's not done. It's a journey. Things go on. I'm gonna keep going on, and I'm gonna keep learning, keep growing, and so that's one of my recent lessons.
I think mine is definitely about concept of I am that loving yourself. I think
self-love, yeah.
self-love is in every way, in every decision that I make, that I am, and I'm saying this to myself, you are completely and totally loved. And I ground myself in that every day, that I'm completely and totally loved. That I'm faultless, so to speak.
Perfect,
You know, I'm perfect in every way, because my spirit is perfect in every way. And that's what I remind myself. And I don't care what anybody else thinks, say, or do. I try to live my life so that people will not say and do anything. But still, if people do, then I know that I'm loved. I know I'm complete. I'm loved, and I'm secure in that. I'm secure, so I secure myself that I am perfect in love.
Yeah, that's a strong thing. It's a strong foundation.
It is a strong foundation.
That's a strong foundation.
Such a secure foundation.
Yes, definitely.
Completely
Definitely.
secure in that foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all your experiences and your lessons that you taught or were taught. And yeah, it was fun having you on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope you guys enjoyed as well. That is the end of it. So also don't forget to live life and be happy.